Welcome to our video to introduce you to the Construction Finance Data Working Group and our pilot project with the FISTech platform to demonstrate project data interoperability. Today is not just another AI story. It's not another committee or another initiative or another item on a long list of industry challenges. We're talking about a moment of choice, a moment when we decide whether we will continue to let our infrastructure systems struggle under the weight of outdated processes, or whether we will step forward together to build something better, something worthy of the people that depend on us, something worthy of the next generation. And that is why we're here to introduce the Construction Finance Data Working Group. Why are we doing this? The human reason. Let's be honest with each other. Everyone in this industry knows the pain of inefficiency. We've all watched projects slow down because information was trapped in PDFs. We've all seen small businesses struggle to grow because their surety capacity was tied up in paperwork. We've all felt the frustration of systems that don't talk to each other, data that can't be trusted, and processes that drain time, money, and energy from the people doing the real work. And yet, we also know what's possible. We know that when data flows, trust grows. When systems interoperate, people collaborate. When information is open, transparent, and machine readable, the entire ecosystem becomes stronger. That is the world we are choosing to build. The purpose of our working group? The mission is clear: to expand the XBRL taxonomy for the application for payment data set, and to demonstrate through the FISTech model platform how high integrity, interoperable data can transform the entire construction lifecycle. This is the business case the Federal Highway Administration needs to accelerate the transition to a digital ecosystem, a transition already mandated by Congress and the White House. And here is the powerful truth. If we give state DOTs clarity and modest funding to map their legacy systems to the application for payment XBRL dataset, we unlock a national transformation. One action, one data set, one standard. And suddenly, the 40% of transactional waste identified by the CURT and Construction Industry Institute's OS2 project begins to disappear. This is the scale of what we are doing. Who's leading it and why it matters? Our working group is to be led by three organizations that have spent decades building the standards the world relies on. My company, SRC Digital Insurance Services, will continue to bring together the full spectrum of stakeholders, including insurance, surety, and finance. We bring the business case. EDM and OMG and the Digital Twin Consortium, that group are the global leaders in financial-grade data standards and semantic modeling. Building Smart International, the stewards of Open BIM, IFC, and ISO BIM standards across the built environment. These organizations have shaped the standards that define industries. Now, they are joining forces to shape the standards that will define the future. It's a collaboration without borders. The working group is not a closed circle. It's a community, open to everyone who believes in a better way. It crosses all markets: public, private, domestic, international. All stakeholders, owners, general contractors, subcontractors, suppliers, insurers, sureties, lenders, auditors, regulators. All phases: planning, procurement, design, construction, operations, and finance. The entire life cycle. This is the first time the entire ecosystem is sitting at the same table, working from the same data foundation, with the same purpose. Our FISTech model is proof that the future is already here. We are not asking anyone to imagine what interoperability might look like. We are showing it. The FISTech model platform demonstrates how any legacy systems can send and receive XBRL data, how application for payment data can be validated instantly, how public DOT projects and private subcontracts can use the same data set, how open standards allow innovation to flourish, how interoperability eliminates delays, errors, and re-entry. This is not a pilot. This is not a theory. This is a working model of the future, and it is ready to scale. Why this matters for surety insurance and small business? This transformation is not just technical, it's personal. For project owners, public agencies, lenders, insurers, and sureties, the application for payment data set means instant import and export of the complete surety bond data set, automated validation of bond documents, thousands of hours saved, faster project mobilization, real-time visibility into project runoff. And for small business, the backbone of our industry, it means something more important: opportunity. When sureties can see risk clearly, they can restore capacity. When capacity is restored, small businesses can bid on new work. When they can bid on work, they can grow, hire, and succeed. This is how we build an industry that lifts everyone. Treasury's modernization of the T-list is an example. We support Treasury's modernization of the T-list, transforming it from a static PDF in the cloud to an actionable, machine-readable data. This one change will save thousands of hours across procurement, bonding, and compliance. It is exactly the kind of modernization the digital ecosystem needs. We also help agencies meet their mandates. Federal agencies are under increasing pressure to implement open data, machine-readable reporting, digital twins, lifecycle transparency, interoperability. This working group provides the roadmap, the standards, and the implementation model to help agencies comply, starting with the Federal Highway Administration and extending to GSA, DOD, and all the other federal agencies. DOT implementation becomes the national model. Next steps and your role: our working group will operate under the NIBS Digital Delivery Committee, aligned with ISO BIM and Federal Highway Administration's ADCMS initiative. We look to expand the ISO liaison group through outreach and industry events, conduct a national review and comment process on the application for payment data set, prepare a full inventory of applications for payment data sets, work with XBRL to incorporate new elements into the taxonomy, partner with the Federal Highway Administration to make the application for payment XBRL dataset available to all state DOTs. But none of this happens without you. We need your voice. We need your experience. We need your leadership. We are at a transformational moment on Earth and beyond. We are at a crossroads. If we do not fill the standards gap with open, interoperable solutions, proprietary systems will fill that void, fragmenting the ecosystem and raising costs for decades. But if we act now, together, we can build a digital ecosystem that is open, interoperable, trustworthy, resilient, future-ready. And here is the bigger truth. The digital ecosystem we build today will be just as essential for the future that commercializes space as it is for the infrastructure that builds our roads, schools, and energy systems. The same open standards that power the application for payment today will power orbital logistics, lunar construction, next-generation infrastructure, next-generation energy systems, and even data centers in space. The future is coming fast, and the work we do now will determine whether we lead it or follow it. So I invite you, not as organizations, but as people, to join us. Join the working group. Become an organization that's part of the liaison group. Bring your experience, your challenges, your ideas, and your passion. Help us build the digital foundation that will support the next century of infrastructure on Earth and beyond. This is our moment. Let's seize it together. Now, let me introduce you to the FISTech platform. The Construction Finance Data Working Group is using the FISTech platform as a demonstration model for how any platform can send and receive XBRL data and high-integrity data sets. The objective is to reduce the typical source of transactional waste identified by Kurt and the Construction Industry Institute at the University of Texas at Austin, where they identified over 40% of costs could be eliminated. Surety and insurance recognize is only less than 1%. It's not driving the bus. But everybody is looking at how to approach that 40%, and we can do so better collectively. The objective is to reduce the traditional source of waste, provide stakeholders with high integrity financial statements. The outcome should be operational gains for every stakeholder. We should have innovative new applications and implementation of AI, improved access to financial products and services for small business. Ultimately, the enabler is a multi-stakeholder, adopted, open, and synergized data standards and data. One of the leaders is the ISO, where they have dedicated units specifically working on construction and in specifically digital twins. And recognizing that the liaison group only has a couple of players, we'd like to expand that working group. So our objective is a 90-day action plan where we expand the liaison group. To expand the liaison network, we've identified a number of groups that intersect with the built environment, either in finance, insurance, and surety, or construction, planning, administration, any number of aspects. All of these stakeholders deserve to be at the table to work together to continue our work with the AI seed contract collaboration with universities, where we have engaged to find the difference between a PDF outcome and a high integrity along the model of garbage in, garbage out. We'll conduct a review and comment process that allows all the stakeholders to look at the data set that we have for the application for payment to see if there's any data elements they need to make their legacy systems compatible with the next generation. We'll also look to make sure that the data elements that are needed to comply with the Genius Act and the Clarity Act. We are also recommending that Treasury undertake a review and comment period for modernizing the Treasury list to generate an actionable resource instead of just another PDF in the cloud. Engage the liaison community. That's really what FISTech does. It allows the community to see, look, and feel, and touch what an interoperable system would look like. So, to experiment, simply log on to the FISTech portal. You'll see at the lower right-hand side the register new account. You can request portal access. It only asks for a little bit of information. We can set you up as a company profile. When you have a company profile, you can take a look at the FISTech screen. There's a whole section on instructions, and there's also a way for you to look at different stakeholders to view to see what various entities would see when they logged in. On the instructions, we can tell you how to use the APIs. We tell you how to create a bond, all step-by-step mechanisms, in which we'll show you in this demonstration as well. Most importantly, you can replicate our platform. Unlike most commercial applications that are out there, this one is meant to be purposely taken by others and its functionality replicated. We are looking to help promote data interoperability much more than we are looking to create a commercial application. So check out how to replicate the FISTech platform and incorporate it into your own systems so that you too can send and receive high integrity data based on the open standards. So using FISTech, well, first thing you have to do is you have to enter your data. So the way the process works is basically a project goes through a formation stage in which the stakeholders on the project are slowly gathered until you have all of the stakeholders that are in the project. From there, we look at the data sets that are assembled as we go through the formation process. If you'd like to see the data sets in Excel spreadsheet, that way they're easy to read and you can follow along the formation process by just clicking along the various worksheets in the data set. As you walk through the spreadsheet, you will see the flow of data that ultimately starts with who the stakeholders are and ends with an application for payment. In the application for payment, you'll notice the red text. That red text is carry forward from the previous. So the only thing you're adding to an application for payment is the new data. and you're able to watch the entire transaction go from application to application for trending and analysis. As a registered stakeholder, you can use the dashboard to transact various actions. Let's start with bond management. To create a surety bond document, well, we take you into a wizard, and the first thing you do is you have to select who's the principal, and then you walk through what's the agreement. Now, if you're creating a surety document on an agreement that already exists, like a consent of surety or a change order, you can connect it to that agreement. Or if it's the brand new project you're starting, you'll create a new agreement. And there you shift from the bond create wizard to the agreement wizard. And just like the bond agreement, you start picking up who's your principal, and you start forming who are the stakeholders to this agreement by identifying who the counterparties are. And then you start to put together what are the agreement types, what type of bond form the agreement calls for, and ultimately who is the provider of that bond form. Where FISTech can look at the agreement type, the bond type, and who the provider, and select the appropriate bond form for you to use. Now, the counterparties are all selected, the data is all set to go, the agreement data set is locked. Now, you switch back to the bond creation, and in the bond wizard, you now have all the bond details and all the counterparty details to the agreement that make up the digital ecosystem for this project. Once you have the data in FISTech, now you can work on it. As a contractor, you have the option of working on the bonds you've received or the bonds you've posted. As an insurance carrier or a broker, finance, or any other stakeholders, you only get to see the surety bonds that you are a party to. As a contractor, you can click bonds received and you can view the documents, and you will see all the documents you've received from your counterparties. If you want to export the data into your construction management systems or into any other system, you simply on the group list hit export, and you're going to be given an option on how you want the export to be done, all of which are mapped to XBRL. And you will simply get an XBRL file that you're able to import the entire list. If, on the other hand, you want to look at a record itself, you go in and you can look at a record, and here you have a choice of printing a view or exporting. For printing a view, it's easy for you to see and visualize exactly what that record has in it. If you want to export the review, then you have the same option. You can export an XBRL, but JSON, CSV, XBRL, and you will get that one record's XBRL dataset. Or you could do the formatted text to save it as a PDF or a document so that you can transition by still having documents in your folders while having the digital data in your system. The data elements for each of the projects and each of the documents are viewable. And if you click Related, you can see what else is related to that agreement. Other subcontract bonds, other agreements, other surety documents. Retrieving data from FISTech, if you're a subcontractor or a surety or a stakeholder, you can simply click the Retrieve the Surety button. An unregistered guest can click to download the sample bond or download the sample, and they will get the sample documents without having to register to see what it is that they would receive if they were a stakeholder. Going on to project management, creating a payment request follows the same format. We use the AIA definitions to recognize what the data elements are and to make sure that the math is consistent with industry standard. The application for payment follows the same wizard structure as the bond. You start off by who's the agreement, what agreement number, and you walk through the various steps of the application for payment until all the data is entered, including if there is any change orders, directives, and other things that are normally not in a application for payment. But in the digital model, we want all the data we can get, including RFIs, stop notices, liquidated damages that might be on a job, because that's where the root of risk can be identified and hopefully mitigated. You can view all the data sets as a group for trending, or you can click on a specific record and work with that specific document and that specific data set. Importing into FISTech is likewise just as easy. We have a little help screen to give people a guide, but the bottom line is you just simply pick the file that you have that's XBRL compliant, and you can import the bond, the application for payment, or the work on hand. You can upload the templates. We make it very easy to export and import data from FISTech. Exporting follows the same thing. You just simply click what it is that you want to export, what the format is, and as a stakeholder, you can export any data sets you're permissioned. If you need help setting the APIs, we provide a whole section on API management. Now we shift to something even more exciting, and that is when we start looking at the public data that is available and converting it to actionable data. Using TxDOT as an example, our AIC contract teams would go to a DOT website and look at the PDF data, break it down into individual PDF records, and then with each individual, scrape and identify each of the data elements on each progress payment, and then convert those data elements into extracted data that can then be mapped to the XBRL application for payment data set, turning it into actionable, structured data ready for data exchange. What's also part of our modernization is we are looking to implement the legal entity identifier to help improve stakeholder transparency, but also project transparency of stakeholders. Here, when we look at a contractor's name, our AI system will look into the LEI to see whether or not that contractor has an LEI or any of the stakeholders in our system, and it will automatically add LEIs to counterparties or to anybody in our system, so that anybody that we are dealing with on data will have an LEI for the stakeholders to use. The LEI is now part of a surety company's bond number. When we look at a bond number, it now is made up of various components. The first is the legal identifier to let us know who wrote the bond. The second is the bond number that is unique to that surety. And the last is who verified the bond. The surety itself will always validate itself, and therefore its validation number is 000. If you're using FISTech as a validation model, then the validator would be 001. Or you could use anybody else, and they will have their own validation number that is recognized by the industry, allowing the broker in the initial issuance of the bond to be able to use whatever system they're using that their counterparties trust. But as the surety policies get incorporated into the insurance company's database, stakeholders can go directly to the insurance company to validate that the bond is indeed in their system. And that validation, directly from the insurance company, will return a validation code of 000, letting the stakeholder know that the surety company itself has validated this bond. Access to private data on FISTech will be very robust. It will have all sorts of information and depth, and it'll have related documents. Access to the public project data is limited only to what the PDF provided, and we were able to interpret and extract. Again, our model is to reduce the waste, to provide stakeholders with high integrity data, operational gains, innovative new applications, and new products and services for small business. It's made possible by multi-stakeholder adopted open and synergized data standards,